Alrighty, we're going to jump back on Pinky. Welcome back to Left 4 Dead Garage. We're going to jump on Pinky. It's time to battle the clutch pedal, brake pedal situation. I've jumped ahead a little bit before I got the camera out because I kind of wanted to know my game plan, simply because I'm trying to make the videos more to the point, less long. That makes sense. Sometimes my videos run a little long. So, like I said, I've jumped ahead. I've got an understanding of the list of problems that we have so far, and I'll list the things that I've ran into so far. Until it's Thursday. They race to the track and then they race home from the track. But so I've jumped ahead a little bit. I've messed with the assembly last night, and I've kind of got an idea on I've got a list of some current problems and possible solutions, and then I'll tell you what I've done to this point. So here's the assembly that I removed. I'll throw in a picture of the one that we're working with right now. And so I went ahead and removed that one, and I did some measurements and all to kind of get an idea, because I was concerned about adding a clutch master and a pedal, the width. That's where it had me kind of scared. But we came out pretty good with that problem. Now I need to find a flashlight. Before I slide under there, I wrote down what I've done to this point, and I'll just go through what we've. So to even put this thing in there, I had to remove the pedals. So had to remove the pedal arms off of it. Getting all that swung in there, being a different setup, it just wasn't jiving. So we had to remove the pedals, and once I got those off, we were able to push it up in the frame rail, and that's when I realized that the actual reservoir on the clutch master would be under the top rail of the frame, so that wasn't going to work. It will have to be an external reservoir. So I'm pretty sure I got the right adapter coming from Willwood. It measured the same as the clutch master OD. Hopefully got that covered, and we'll just find a nice billet remote reservoir to maybe mount up here on the firewall. Maybe cover up something, maybe a boo-boo over here. I don't know, but we got that hopefully solved. Minus everything, I got the booster, the master, and all that with one bolt snug to the frame rail. I had to space out the assembly about 3/4 of an inch if I had to guess. Now it probably needs to come out another 100 thousandths because the actual clutch pedal arm scrubs the frame rail. So there's another issue. I'd probably, since I'm going to have to remove this a couple dozen times, I imagine, it's probably better off if I just pull the transmission, because that bolt, you got to figure the bolt is this long, holding two pedals together. Well, the transmission's right here. The only way I could get that in there was unbolt everything, let this assembly cock to the side, and then try to hold this dual pedal assembly and wiggle that bolt in there. So that's how I had to put the pedals back in, which if it was a one-time deal, I would just leave it, but multiple times I'm probably just going to pull the transmission, because it was I was really surprised when I got it finagled in there enough to get that bolt in. Now I can show you this without having to go under there. There is it may not show up on camera, so we just kind of stuck this plastic crate in here to kind of simulate a seat. All right, if I line you up here, so your leg's here, so the gas pedal It's almost like the pedals need to shift like this, because with me sitting in the truck, my leg is like at an angle to try to get to a gas pedal. So my current plan is to take this tab and flip it, but that will create a problem with too close to this one. So if I flip it, I could do it that way, or I could do a piece of square stock big enough to where I could drill down in it like a piece of rectangle, drill down in it, tap it, and then weld it directly to the pedal. Well, and that would put it dead center of the actual arm, leaving me with a, that would open the door for more room for a throttle pedal. All right, so I really need to move this guy too. I'm not 100% sure, and like I said, it's super close to the, see, it's rubbing the frame rail right there. Hits. Could I clearance the frame rail a little bit with the flap wheel? Probably. But I would much rather space it, the whole assembly, over just a tad. But whatever I do space it over a tad, it's also going to put these pedals further this way. Also, I'm limited on my slave cylinder mount, and I'll show you that when we get under there. So I would like to pull. Now it's only mounted where it's mounted because that's one of the holes that it lined up to. My plan is to slide the assembly back some. So I've got this much room between the toe board and the pedals, and I've actually got this brake pedal adjusted up to where that's the maximum as it'll come up. So I've got a little bit of wiggle room to slide the pedals back, which may actually help the owner. I'm a little taller than her. I'm sure the seat will be adjustable, but I would rather have the pedals back if I could. And then we place the gas pedal. And that's another thing I got to look into. I got to figure out a gas pedal. Long story short, there's going to be some modifications made to this. Whatever I do, it's, I don't want it to look janky by no means or whatsoever. But currently, the way it sits, it would be a pain in the hiney to try to get to the gas pedal and the brake pedal. And then if I just move this over, well, it's awful close. So I don't know. I'm going to come up with something for that. What else? I'm pretty sure that's about all I've covered. So that's pretty much everything that I'd written down. Let's ride under here and we'll take a look at what we got. All right, as you can see, the master ended up underneath the rail here. Definitely have to do a remote setup. I was concerned about booster to transmission clearance. That worked out fine. I even had Charlie go through the gears last night just to look, but and if I can slide it back this way some, back toward the back of the truck, it'll give me even more room. Currently right now, the only bolt that I have in it is this top one right here. And then this one's not all the way through. It's just actually holding a spacer to get the assembly off the frame rail like that. Because I had to space it off the frame because the pedal arm hits the frame. And another reason I need to try to space it back is to give me room to try to put that pull type slave cylinder in there. I am not 100% sure that it'll work, but I feel like I need to order it and have it in my hand before I can know for sure. Luckily, it's not an expensive part. The Wheelwood push slave or pull slave is 11 3/4 inches. The Speedway version is 10 3/4 inches, and from the face of that plate that the booster and all mounts to The clutch fork is 10 3/4. It looks like I'll have some room, and then I can make a mount of some sort. I feel pretty good about it. I think we'll be okay, but I feel like I need to get that ordered. You know what? I need to do that right now. That way I can have it. So I guess for tonight, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and pull this transmission, get it out of the way, because that's the bolt, and it goes all the way to here. So you got this much bolt to come out in this much room. So I had to lean the pedal assembly down and try, and it was snug. Like, I was real surprised that I got it in there, and then try to hold these pedals lined up to try to get that bolt through, which was kind of fun. But I have to pull the pedals out to get everything past this fork. It just, I guess with one pedal it wasn't so bad, but you add 2 pedals and it was a nightmare. And then I had to pull the exhaust, obviously, this thing right here, to get up in here. Hopefully this doesn't sit lower than that one, and we don't run into exhaust clearance issues, which I don't believe I think it comes through here mostly, but it's just one of those things. I also want to get this scooted back. It would be nice if there was an existing hole, because there's plenty of holes in this frame, which not good. These 2 for sure, this one and this one, this one and this one have been drilled by the other shop, as well as that one. And who knows about these other 4. Looks like that one right there as well. And then these 2 are holding on that Z-bar mount that's going to be absolutely pointless. Then they've drilled 4 holes that wallered that one right there, as you can see. So there was 4 holes for the mounting bracket that we won't use. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm gonna get the trans pulled out right quick and get it out of the way. And then here's this transmission cross member. That wasn't welded together. So that's just kind of stuck on there. And you can see where they cut it poorly and didn't bother to weld it back together. So we'll get that taken care of too. Let me drag some tools out and we'll get this trans pulled. Alright, this brake line needs to go. I'm not reusing that because that's all wonky back that way. Alright. Get a better look at this new clutch. That ain't no new clutch. Nothing new about this thing at all. Well, now I can take the pedals and all that crap out of the way, in and out of there a whole lot easier. I mean, it ain't that big a deal to pull one of those 4 speeds anyhow. Let me see if I can get me an idea on where I can move this back to, and probably have to clamp it. Probably have to get the vice grip clamps out and clamp it, and that will probably be what I'll do for now. Is I'll either C-clamp it or vice grip clamp it, and maybe we can mark some holes. But I feel like it's going to run into, it may run into the rivets that hold these step brackets on. And honestly, I don't even think it needs those, because these aftermarket running boards are so stout. Like that, it's pretty beefy. Well, that's pretty beefy if you tighten them up. That one's clearly not, but Might have to lose this one, I don't know. We'll figure it out. All right, let me get a game plan, I'll get back to you. Got all this out. These rivets, I guess you can see those. I don't know if it's all 4 or just 2, but well, actually, more than likely it's these 2, I hope. I don't know, I'll have to try to get in there. It may be these 2 as well, but these front 2 are cab mounts. These 2 are only for the step mounts. Oh, I lied. Yeah, these inner 4 are for the step bracket. These are cab mounts. I'm in a dilemma here because one, the truck's high enough to work on. You gotta lay flat on your back. This is jack stand life right here. But I can't get my big head up in here because the truck's not high enough, and I don't know if I want to go through the trouble of making it higher. I got 12-ton jack stands in the back, 6 tons up here. I could probably put another set of 12 tons and get it up higher, but I don't know if it's high enough for me to actually sit on the ground and sit up in here like this and look at it like I really need to. Thought about taking the transmission tunnel out. It's pretty hokey anyway. I did not realize that Ray Charles cut this hole for them. That's nice right there. I mean, just not even no attempt at making a square. Same for the new shifter hole. That's hacked up. They've patched this one. This thing's been repaired several times. Who knows how many transmissions it's had. I don't believe I've noticed this yet. I guess because the transmission was in the way, or I've just not paid much attention to it, but that is a patch that looks to be sheet metal screwed in. You got 3 sheet metal screws here, and it looks like it's over the sound deadening, so that's pretty nice. Took the time to weld that in, but not that. So that was the old hole for the master cylinder. Well, so if I took this out, I could see. I mean, that clearly doesn't fit anyway. There we go. I mean, they missed the boat on that patch, and it's pretty crappy looking. Definitely clean this up. I don't know if I should take the time to take this out or not, because it's got sound deadening over it, and I'll have to cut that stuff loose. I don't really want to do that, but I believe anyway it is sitting on some of it. Anyhow, I may give in and move the 12 tons to the back, put them under the rear end since the rear end's in it, and then try to get this thing up higher, because it would be nice if I could sit and look at this thing instead of using the exhaust as a pillow. And you can see what I was talking about. It just won't come out of there with the pedal arms on it. I can't come back too far because the pedals, the actual angle going into the floor actually hits the floor. That's probably not cut straight either. So it looks like about a ½ inch is about maybe all I can get out of it. I think what I'll do is I'll put, ow, that hurt. I just mashed my finger between the master and that screw. So I've been using these for spacers. These are scrap parts from work, and it really needs to be just a tad thicker. So if I can take and clamp this master sort of where I want it and manipulate it around, try to level it up, could probably get in there with a Sharpie maybe and mark those holes. I think that's what I'm gonna try to do first. See what happens there. It's hang from the, there we go. It's a good thing that painting this, having this done black. I may have it powder coated. I don't know why it comes yellow. That's the only option. Just pretty crazy. Let me see if I can jack it up more. All right, I redid my jack stand arrangement, and I can just about sit up under here, which is much better than where I was at. Kind of see what I'm doing. Probably need 2 flashlights for this so I can see back in there. Maybe that'll work. Alright, so you can't see it, but kind of getting an idea. How far back I can possibly run this. And from where I was at, it might be an inch, but an inch means a lot when it comes to this fork to however I'm going to mount that pull slave cylinder, which could be very tricky. But let me see if I can get some clamps and hold this assembly and the dead blow, and that way I can knock it around a little bit and try to get it situated and see if we can get an idea on what we need to do, or where we need to put it and where we need to put some holes. All right, I pulled the master to save me some weight and to try to balance this whole mess. I wanted to slide it back some, but I guess the swing of the arc of the pedal, where it's one big radius, it got real picky real quick with hitting the bottom of the floor. So I went back to where I was. Without the transmission in here, it's kind of hard to check this, but from the face of this, it's about 10 inches. So I ordered that slave cylinder. It says it's 10 3/4, but that looks like it's that whole big rod that comes off the back. I ordered the other heim joint as well. Maybe put a tab on this, I don't know. So I'm not gonna, I can almost get this bottom bolt in right here. I might be able to loosen the top one. It's only went back in this existing hole that the other shop put in it, and then you got this wallered out hole. You can almost, you know what I mean? It's about 1/4 of a bolt hole off. I don't know if I got enough wiggle room. Maybe I can drill the hole out. I don't know. I really don't want to do that because, you know, well, looks like crap. But got it clamped on here for right now. Moving it back also got into different, like a step in the frame rail in here and the rivets for this. So I believe right here is our best deal, and it looks pretty square as far as with the frame rail. So about right here would probably, if you look at this casting line, but if you look at that cab mount in this, it doesn't look straight at all. Looks like it should go back this way, but I can't go back much further because you see the pedal hits the frame right here. It's rubbing now. So I have to work on that. I may space it out, like I said, just a little bit more. I'll be all right as far as getting into the transmission. But I think I'm gonna hang it right there for now. Make me some new spacers at work. I'm gonna try to get in here with the dial calipers and check the depth, with the depth in, and come up with something a little bit better than juggling 3 spacers 3 loose spacers and 3 loose bolts. That's where I'm currently at. It's about 9:30. Probably by the time I clean up, it'll be definitely time to go in. See if I can come up with some spacers tomorrow. Maybe a better idea. I don't know. And we'll just keep moving forward.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S. Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away. Competition Product, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
All right, a little update. Kind of hit a brick wall here. I'll be able to make a few changes, and I feel like at this point I probably don't need to go any further until I get the slave cylinder. I'm pretty sure that this is where the clutch pedal, brake pedal assembly, the pedal assembly is going to land. However, there are a couple issues, which, you know, this is how it goes. All right, so I've moved it back. This hole right here was where it was bolted, so it's not moved back a tremendous amount, but it's gave me 11 inches here to here. Oh, also, I was kind of regretting pulling the transmission because the fork was just doing whatever, and I didn't really want to put it back in there. But what I did is I went and grabbed a bare Muncie case, or an empty Muncie case, and I put a bearing retainer, a throwout bearing retainer on it, bolted this thing on there. That way it would hold my clutch fork. But so I got 2x4 kind of just jammed in there right now. Now I'm going to trim the floor because I've got to put that toe board in there anyway, so why not move it wherever I need it and trim the floor, because I'm gonna weld a new toe board section in. So it may scooch back a little bit more because this bolt hole looks like it's about to land right beside this hole and into this bracket, which also means the top one will be in the same location, which is not good. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. So I guess the main thing is getting the slave in there and seeing what I can do with that. So I'm kind of at a standstill. Unfortunately, the slave cylinder won't be here till Monday, and but I mean, I've got some piddly other things I could be doing as well. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Hopefully we're going in the right direction here. I still have to do some sort of spacers. It's spaced off the frame a little far now, as you can see. That's plenty of room right there. But so I need to come back this way, probably a good ½ inch, if I had to guess. 2x4s were a little thick, but they were handy and quick. That's where I'm at. But once I get the slave cylinder, hopefully we can start heading toward the right, direction with everything, and start going back together with it, or going together with it, because it's never been together. So yeah, when I get the parts, we'll get back under there. All right, back under Pinky. I think I have a game plan. Let me grab all my plan here, and we'll slide under there, and I'll show you what idea number 1 is looking like. Now, we'll admit, I did get ahead of the camera and do a little work, but it'll be all right. It just means I can speed up the video some. All right, so here's my final destination for the pedal assembly. I went in up here and I trimmed about 1 inch off the floor, so that gives me plenty of pedal room. I also decided not to suck this thing in the rail any further, to get the pedal closer to the rail, to try to get the pedals moved to the left side further. I figured this gap is not going to gain me much much comfort without modifying this thing anyway, and this gives us a nice safe amount of pedal arm to frame gap. Those will stay where they're at. This conglomeration of spacers that I have in there will be my number that I'm going to when I make actual spacers for this setup. All right, got the booster kind of hung on there. What I've done is I went to the CAD design, cardboard assisted design, and I made this thing, you know, a rectangle with a couple holes in it. And then I transferred this high-tech CAD stuff over to steel, and then in my box of tabs and brackets that I used to collect when I messed with forward drives, I have this little guy. It's just a weld tab, and I'm going to stick him somewhere along there, and we're going to tack it. And I'm also going to put a third bolt hole in this little plate, because it'll clear everything on the booster side, and it'll give me just a little bit more clamp load for that slave cylinder to pull against. Speaking of the slave cylinder, I don't know if I've covered this or not, but the slave will go something along those lines right there, and I have plenty of adjustment to get, well, the pedal, well, the fork actually comes back further, so there's plenty of adjustment there to land on my little tab like I was talking about. So my tab will tack on there somewhere like that. That's design number one. Will it work 100%? I don't know until I keep going and just try it out. So I'm gonna mark my location to tack my tab. While I got the welder out, I'm gonna clean up all these holes that's been drilled in this frame that have no use whatsoever anymore. And I'm gonna remove those things, because that's that Z-bar bracket up there, this guy, that we no longer need as well. Let me mark my spot and tack this thing, and we'll just tack it together and eyeball it, see how it's going to go. Yeah, let's go with that. All right, I didn't video welding it because, well, that kind of self-explanatory, but I got this tab on here. I think I got it anyway, but yeah, so it'll bolt on just like that. There's the new third bolt hole. So tab will go there, and that'll go on this, or the heim will go on this side, and that'll go on this side. Something like that. And then that's how it'll go. Now keep in mind, I'll spin this the correct way. This actually kind of worries me. I might have to do some I don't know, it might be close to try to find me a 90 fitting, but this bleeder has to be up as much as possible. And see, I have to try to miss that clutch pedal. So I might have to change this out for something else. So if this is just pipe, then I'll do a 90, you know, to 4A or 3AN, whatever. Where did I lose that bolt? Whatever the clutch line ends up being, but that's the idea. I guess what I need to do now is mock the pedals the rest of the way up and see what's going to clear and kind of get an idea on this fitting. So let me do that, and then let me mock this up and make sure I don't have any other issues. If I do, we'll get back to you. If I don't get back to you, then we'll move on to the pedals inside the truck. Well, it looks like things are going to work. So let's ride under here. I'm moving a little slow today. Now, this line is temporary. I've got to get the correct one. I'm just working with what I've got. And I've got a video from my phone that I'll throw in here and show you that this thing functions Got the slave mounted right there. Now I'm gonna do something different with the line. I may go a 90 fitting right here, and I still have to get the reservoir. This was interesting to get fluid into. We had a 20-ounce water bottle up there and a hose, and Charlie was feeding the water bottle and working the clutch, and I was bleeding it. I went in with a brake fluid bath. I got to get the correct spacers made, like my permanent spacers, and then I believe everything's going to be okay. Still have concerns about how much pedal travel we're going to have, which surely the, you know, I would never think it would have this much brake pedal to come down and hit that clutch fork, but I don't think I'm going to powder coat it until we're done with all the plumbing. That way I can know for sure, because I hate to, you know, send it for powder coat and then have to come back in here and grind on it. So this, other than putting the correct spacers in there, this may stay where it's at, and we will I'll shop for the correct line. I don't know how I'm going to run it yet. I'd like to run it behind everything and come in from this side, and then, you know what I mean, 90, a 90 here, and then down the rail, and then 90 back into this. But all right, I think it'll be all right. Yeah, it's got a little slack in the... But we're making progress, and that'll do it on this video. I don't know if it'll be another Pinky video next week or what, but staying pretty well steady on it just takes a lot of time. I wish it would speed up, but kind of in uncharted territories for the most part right now. A little dark in there, and I guess I'll look into some plumbing kits for the brakes and whatnot. So thanks for watching Left 4 Dead Garage. We'll see you on the next one.